Hi Patrick, how are you doing today?
Very good, Ekhoe. Doing well. It's been a long weekend, but you know what? Grateful for life and for the new week.
Fantastic. And did you watch the match between Nigeria and Democratic Republic of Congo?
I did not watch the match, but I saw some of the highlights.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting.
Well, Nigeria lost. As it is now, I'm rooting for Canada.
Oh, you know what? I didn't watch that match. I thought it was that ball I watched.
Oh, okay.
Uh, yeah, the highlights. Oh, Nigeria lost this one.
Oh boy.
So we're out of the World Cup.
That is it.
Wow, wow.
Well, we have
Well,
Canada to support, so.
well, yeah. Yeah, go
All
Canada.
right then. So how's the snow this time around? Like this weekend?
You know what? It's still a bit cold. Yesterday was rainy and cold. My son played in the finals of a football game, American football, and they
Oh,
won the
okay.
local championship. It was great, but it was pretty cold and rainy.
Perfect. So let's get to it. And so, our listening viewers, and also those watching as well, you're welcome to Informano's weekly AI analysis, the show where we talk about everything AI, what's happening now, and what's going to come, and what it means for all of us. And again, with me is Mr. Patrick, and we'll be dealing with certain topics that are very, very much important with respect to generative AI. And yeah, so let's get to it, Mr. Patrick. So today we'll be looking at ethics, risks, and challenges. And also we'll be looking at the human impact as regards generative AI. So what are the biggest risks associated with generative AI today in terms of misinformation, bias, and copyright issues?
Yeah, I think a great question, and I'm going to highlight three big risks. Of course, there are other ones, but three big risks that align with what we talk about from an AI perspective. One of the big risks is that of bias. Again, these applications give you output based on their training. I give an example. Many years ago, Amazon came forward and spoke about how their AI had this bias against women when
Hmm.
it comes to hiring. And so the AI was recommending more men for hire than women. Now, you wondered why? Well, they found the solution was this was happening as a result of the training. So think of this as an example. Let's say that I gave you a list of all the people that have been hired to work in the company, and they're all Rob and Bob and Smith and Steven and Kunle and Yemi and Patrick. And then I ask you to go out there and get me the best candidate aligned with what you just saw. And by the way, you're thinking, oh my goodness, these are all men, so men must be the best candidate to work
Hmm.
in this company. And so that system was biased against women, and they discovered that. So one is bias, one is the inherent bias in the system. The other thing you have with generative AI is also hallucination, the likelihood of getting an answer that is not very accurate. And that is because most generative AI models are probabilistic models. They are based on probability. And so think, for example, if you go to AI and say, hey, I'm thirsty, I need a cup of dot, dot, dot. Well, it's going to think to itself, cup of dot, dot, dot. I wonder if it needs a cup of water, a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, a cup of energy drink. And so it will give you an output based on the likelihood of what you need. And so you have instances where there's certain hallucinations where outputs are wrong and not very accurate. And of course, most of these LLM are trained on data scraped from the internet. Now, one can also ask the question, where this is data legally scraped from the internet, did the owners of the data give permission for their data to be used to train these applications? We've had instances, I think it was last week or so, where there was this back and forth talk between Amazon and I think it's perplexity around or Claude around how their access their bots are crawling Amazon's website trying to access information. The other time we had New York Times that sued OpenAI because OpenAI was accessing their data and using that to train their LLMs. And so we have copyright issues. Do these do these companies have the right to use information without express consent from the owners of the information?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Patrick. Well, I want us to backtrack a little bit. Last week we talked about large language model and data training and all of that. Now, from what you just explained about the bias of AI, uh, this is somewhat tied to the way these models were trained, don't you think?
Oh, yes, it is. It's tied to not just the way they were trained, but also what data they were trained with. I give you another example. I mean, it's like a human being. It's like what happens in our world today. Most people that live in this part of the world, the data that they've been trained with as it relates to Africa or developing countries is data that shows a suffering continent or a
Mm,
suffering nation or people that
mhm.
have very thin necks. And so when they see an African, most of them, based on my exposure, they are thinking that they're looking at somebody who just escaped from great poverty or great disaster based on the training. And so if all you show a person or a system is one side of the story, that's going to become their narrative. It works for humans, does the same thing for LLMs.
All right. Now, in view of all of these complexities, how can companies or individuals use AI responsibly? Like setting the right guardrails just to ensure that AI is used in a more guarded way.
Great question. I think one is to have a human in the loop step where the output from the AI are reviewed by someone that has domain knowledge. Just to make sure that, again, the output is aligned with the values of that organization. And so you need to have outputs that you need to have a human in the loop to review some of the output. Two, it's very important to, that's what we call explainable AI. We have to be able to explain what's happening behind the scenes.
Mm,
How is the data being generated? What was used for training? And so explainable AI becomes important. I mean, we've had instances where individuals are suing a company because the company used AI for either hiring or for promotion decisions, and the person is saying, I don't agree with you, I'm going to sue you. Now, if you don't understand how the AI is making those hiring decisions or promotion decisions, then you're in trouble. And so the
mm.
black box has to be opened up so that organization can explain how things are happening under the hood.
Okay, I'm glad to hear all of these because what you're speaking to is the fact that there's still the human check involved in training AI.
There should be.
Okay,
There
good.
should be.
Good, good. All right. I mean, because the naive understanding of AI is like they are mostly autonomous. They have a mind of their own. They do things on their own. Even though humans are actually the ones that are training these models,
Yeah.
it's still good to know that humans are still the factors to ensure that AI is in its optimum state.
Yeah. So there has to be a human in the loop. There has to be a human in the loop, some form of quality check, because again, you have to make sure that the outputs are aligned with our values. I mean, think
Mm,
about the concept of what is now called work slump. Work slump is a scenario where an AI produces an output that a human has to do a lot of work to make sure that it's accurate or aligns with what you want. And so we have instances where organizations are just copying and pasting AI output without taking the time to rigorously analyze the output to ensure accuracy, validity, and alignment.
great, thank you. Now, do you think we need more regulations? Or is it too early for that at this point?
Great question. I think we're already. I think it's almost getting too late.
Hmm. Hmm.
I believe we need regulation. Now, as I say this with a tongue in cheek. I believe we need regulation that does not stifle innovation or creativity. However, the challenge we run into right now, we're in what I call an AI arms race. There's a huge AI arms race
Hmm.
because a lot of people know that they're competing with China. And so, if one country is trying to play by the book, in quote, and a different country is not trying to play by the book, then is it possible that the one that is not trying to play by the book is able to outpace the other guy and be at the forefront of innovation as it relates to AI? That's the biggest concern I'm hearing and I'm seeing. But to your point, yes, regulation is important. Um, but again, today we're not seeing a lot of that. Either in the US, in Canada, except in Europe. Europe is a bit further ahead than most other countries. Europe has
Interesting.
AI regulation. Um, but earlier this year, the VP of the US was in Europe and he was reprimanding them about their safety approach with AI and telling them that they should be more innovative and that they should think about creativity and not become gate masters around the deployment and use of AI. So so regulation is important, but there's that balance between safety and innovation. In the US, during the Biden administration, he actually had an executive order in place to help promote safety and regulation in AI. But when Trump came in earlier this year, he rescinded Biden's order and he actually had his own order put in place to, at the end of the day, really foster innovation and creativity in the AI space within the US.
Great. Great. Now, that's actually going to segue into this particular topic that I'm going to bring up. Looking at the human side, vis-a-vis the social impact of generative AI. Now, yes, we in our previous episode, and by the way, viewers and listeners, you can actually go check those episodes out because these topics are actually progressive. We've had topics that have actually dealt with the initial aspects of generative AI, and these topics that we're talking on today are just in a progressive form, just so we dig deeper into generative AI. Now, you talked about generative AI not necessarily taking the place of humans in the workplace, right? Now, how might they're supposed to be assistants, right? We talked about all of this before. How might generative AI change the skills people need in the workplace?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually think that there are certain tasks, there are certain roles that will be redundant because of AI and because of generative AI. I think that when you talk about skills, I think that skills like empathy, skills like team, the ability to work in team, the ability to lead people, entrepreneurial skills are still going to be very, very important even in the age of AI. Emotional intelligence, communication skills, being able to think critically is still going to be very important in the age of AI. Domain knowledge will still be important. I mean, think about can you imagine a nurse or a doctor who, let's say, is in an aeroplane, somebody's having a heart attack, and they're like, oh my goodness, let me ask ChatGPT, what should I do here? I'm having a heart attack. You know, so domain knowledge. An engineer who is building a bridge that will hold millions of cars, they're thinking, I should ask ChatGPT, how should I build this? I mean, you don't want that kind of engineer on your project. Now, not
Hmm.
saying that engineers and doctors will not leverage AI or LLMs, but they need to have domain knowledge. And so, domain knowledge is still going to be critical in the world of AI. We can't have everyone now being a doctor, everyone now doing surgery, everyone now building bridges because they have access to AI.
Okay, now, very good you talked about all of this because we are looking at originality here and creativity. right? So, do you think it makes creativity more accessible, or does it reduce originality in all of these contexts?
I think it depends on the individual. I think very smart people will become more creative and be able to enhance their originality. I think very smart people who are already thinking big, will be able to do much more with less. Will be able to expand their not just their horizon, but expand their influence because of AI. I think there's a level of creativity to eliminate. Because for example, I don't know how to draw. I cannot draw to save my life. And if you give me $1 million to draw, you may have to wait 10 years for me to come up with a picture that will even be pleasing to the eye. I cannot draw. I'm not creative in that sense. And so for me, having a chat GPT or a Sora or a Gemini product that I can go and say, hey, create an image for me that does this. That's amazing because that
Mm.
enables me to expand my creativity in my mind to an output in a different dimension, leveraging this LLM. But that's why I said for folks who are very intelligent, who can see it in their mind, they now have a tool that enables to translate what they have in their mind to what they need to have in the physical.
Okay, now I just want you to talk about this again. If I understand it correctly, or what one lesson that we can actually take from your explanation is it all depends on the usage. It could actually obstruct originality, or it could enhance creativity. Is that what you're trying to say in a nutshell?
Yes. It can enhance creativity, it can enhance originality. I mean, the concept of generative AI is to create something that is new. And so it can enable folks to, I mean, you can write a song. Let's say you want to write a song in your local language. You want to write a new song. You want to write a song to your spouse. It's Valentine's Day, and you're thinking, I don't know how to write songs. And you tell AI, hey, I want to write a song for my spouse, like original. Here are the qualities I like in my spouse. Here is how who they are, how they behave. AI can take all that information and create an original poem for your son, for your spouse on Valentine's Day. That's originality.
Yeah.
That's creativity. But at the back end is the human because now you're creating that output using prompts. And so the the accuracy of your prompt, but also the intellectual superiority of your prompt will determine how great your output is.
Great. Thank you very much. And then lastly for today, I want you to touch on the role of schools and universities, in preparing the next generation.
I
What
think
role, what roles will these institutions play?
they have a very big role to play. They have a very big role. For one, they need to help students. They need to come in as what I call the balancer. The
Hmm.
balancer. On the one hand, students need to learn how to use AI optimally and ethically. On the other hand, students need to have certain domain knowledge and certain fundamental skill set.
Hmm.
And so they need to come in and help students to see, hey, you need this balance. You need to know how to use AI effectively, but you also need some domain knowledge and some key fundamental skills. And we're going to help you to achieve both. Right now in the universities and colleges, I'm not seeing a lot of programs that are set up to help students achieve this balance.
Hmm.
You can't be on one side. You can't be like, oh, let's AI, and forget the other side, or on the other side, and forget this side here. So there has to be that balance, and that's where schools, universities, colleges, and even um, um, uh, high schools or secondary schools can help to shape our students and shape the future of our community and the future of our nation. I'll give you an example. I mean, you have a lot of students today that are using AI to do their assignments. do their work, and so you have a student that can graduate from a school without some basic knowledge because AI is the one that actually graduated, not the student. And so, as an employer, how confident will I be in your diploma or in your degree that the first class you had or the high GP you had was really your work and not the work of Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT? And so, schools have to really, really be at that forefront where they're teaching students how to leverage these tools to do things better, faster, quicker, to save time for companies, save money for them, create solutions for those companies. But they also have to train students on the fundamental skills, critical thinking, empathy, team skills, domain knowledge, how to know your domain very well so that you can augment AI to help you and also be in a position to validate the output from the AI.
Thank you very much, Patrick. You've done justice to these topics again as usual, and we really, really appreciate you. So that's it for today. Thank you, everyone. And then please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until I see you all again in the next episode, I'll say take care and have yourself a wonderful evening. Cheers.